Hello, and welcome to the July meeting of Sydney Skeptics in the Pub. My name is Richard Saunders, committee member of the Australian Skeptics Inc. and founder of Sydney Skeptics in the Pub, somewhere in about 2003, as best as we can figure. Before we begin, Australian Skeptics Inc. would like to acknowledge that although this event is being streamed online around the world, the city we're based in is Sydney, which is part of the Eora Nation and is Gadigal land. I would like to pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the various lands from where you are watching this, and to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who may be in the audience tonight or wherever you may be. Like tonight, the Australian Skeptics National Convention, Skepticon, will be held online this year. Please join us on the 23rd to the 25th of October for top international and local speakers. Details are at skepticon.org.au. If you have any questions for our guests, you can log in to the link provided in the meetup page or for this meeting or from the Twitch page. We will see if we can get to some questions after the talk. So tonight, Susan Gerbic, skeptical activist living in Salinas, California. She is the co-founder of Monterey County Skeptics, founder and leader of the Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia project, a regular contributor to the Skeptical Inquirer magazine, the Skeptic Zone podcast, and a fellow for the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry. Susan has focused much of her skeptical activism on people claiming to be clairvoyant mediums such as Sylvia Browne, Tyler Henry, and Thomas John, and others. I first met Susan in 2007 on a slow boat to Alaska with James Randi, and we've been bumping into each other ever since. When I asked Susan if she could talk to us tonight at very short notice, she said yes straight away. When I told her it would be 2 a.m. her time, she told me to go to hell, but she quickly changed her mind. Tonight, I can hear her laughing on the other side. Tonight, Susan will give us an update on the Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia project and her work in undercover investigations and psychic stings. I'm delighted to introduce my friend, Susan Gerbic.
Hello, everyone. This is Susan Gerbic speaking to you from Salinas, California. I am so excited to be here with you today. This is a treat to be able to speak in the Sydney Skeptics and, well, all of Australia, by the way. I've been saying I want to get back to Australia. This is how I get there, is by doing this. So what I'm going to be talking to you today about is the Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia project as well. I've snuck some grief vampire stuff in there too with you. So how do I make it so it's just me up here? Oh, I guess it goes there. Okay. So I am Susan Gerbic, and I will be talking to you today about the Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia project known as GSoW, and I'll be referring to it as GSoW. It's a little easier to say it that way than saying Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia. So we are a Wikipedia editing team that is trying to improve, create, rewrite, and support all things science. We focus on people of science, we focus on pseudoscience, and we focus on just plain science. And that is what we are trying our best to make sure that these Wikipedia pages are in great shape so that people can find them and get information. We recruit, we train, and we mentor, which makes us extremely different from most organizations out there. Anybody can edit Wikipedia pretty much, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that we turn you into great Wikipedia editors. And we do all of our own lessons. I've created all of them and I handle most of the training ourselves. So we mentor you all the way through the process over Facebook mainly because we have something called a secret cabal. Now I'm showing you a Wikipedia screen, a Google screen, a Google search screen. And as hard as it is, please don't try to read all the print on here because the slides I'm going to be showing you with print on them are just for information only, not for you to sit there and read. And I know it's really hard for people not to read, but what this is a Google search for the name James Alcott, which is in quote marks so that we can see what comes up whenever you do a Google search for somebody's name. And as you can see, the top search that comes up in this example is Wikipedia. And then there'll be other articles and things about James Alcott. But one of the things that I want you to notice here on the side, on the right-hand side, is that there is a little Google Knowledge panel that comes up. And under that, you will see that there is some writing that has just a little brief bio of who James Alcott is. And then also it'll say that the source is Wikipedia. So people are finding that they are going to Wikipedia, Wikipedia is influencing these Google panels, and people are reading content about that's on a Wikipedia page without actually having to go to Wikipedia. Because Wikipedia is one of the top viewed websites in the world. I think it's depending on which you come by. I think it's considered about the fourth most viewed website in the world. It's massive. It has massive search engine optimization, and so you can't outdo Wikipedia very easily. From what I understand, I believe that Facebook is about to start the same kind of like a Google Knowledge Panel type idea, that whenever you're in Facebook, you'll be able to search for a term and you're going to be able to get something like this, and it's going to pull probably from Wikipedia also. So having a really, really strong Wikipedia page, well written with great information on it, is really going to help out to educate people all around the world about whatever subject or topic or person we're talking about. So I'm going to tell you two different stories today. And the first one you may or may not have heard of in Australia is the Rachel Maddow show. And this is a TV cable, well, I guess it's a cable TV news show that is on Monday through Friday here in America. She's very popular, Rachel Maddow. Anyway, so whether you know who she is or not, it's not really important, except that one day I was watching the Rachel Maddow show about, I think this might have been May, and she had something on there that she had seen before. She was interviewing a lot of doctors because of the COVID crisis here in America, which is incredibly horrible. And she noticed that somebody had something on his PPE, that's personal protection equipment. And so she did a whole story on it. And so that's what I'm going to talk about right now. It's called the PPE Portrait Project. This is something I just saw when I was watching the news. So this is PPE, at least it is what we're seeing a lot here in America. It's these big blue Smurfy kind of people, and they are quite frightening. So imagine that you are a person who is having the worst time of your life. You have COVID, or you are have some other kind of problem that is forcing them to completely gear up in PPE to protect themselves, which of course we really want them doing. But this is pretty frightening. And if you're a child or somebody who's just not dealing with the stress well, then that is what you're looking at all the time, is somebody who's dressed like that. You don't see people's faces, you don't see emotion, you don't see no human touch, and it's terrifying. And if you're in the situation where you're in a hospital for a period of time, especially with the COVID epidemic, this is all you see for days, maybe even weeks. And it's, terrifying. So what the PPE project has done, and this started with the Ebola outbreak, an artist, I believe she was an artist, she came up with this idea of maybe we could make it more personalized. We could make it so that people who are in these situations where they're terrified and it feels like you're just being treated by aliens from another planet, or Smurfs, or something really scary like that. Well, how about we take a picture of a person who's behind that mask, maybe a picture, a friendly picture, something with them smiling and happy, and put that in a place where you can see it, and you will be constantly reminded that you're being treated by humans, and that they're, lovely, caring people, which I'm sure they all are, but you can't really see them. So what they've done is they've come up with this idea of taking and having photographs of the people who would be wearing the PPE. This woman is in Liberia from the Ebola outbreak, Nurse Ruth, and of course they have to change their PPE all the time. So the picture also will be, it's a sticker on their PPE, and it has to be taken off and put back on. And we are able to see, the person's face. Now, what we want to be able to, what the PPE project is doing, is trying to encourage people to, medical people, to upload a photo of themselves, a nice smiling face photo, and then put it, and then have other organizations or people turn around and print those out in mass for them. So whenever they go to suit up for their shift or whatever, they will have a whole stack of these stickers, and they can take them and they can stick them on their PPE, and then they can go and they can help their the people who are in the hospital. And here's a whole row of people with their PPE and their PPE portrait, which is really kind of fun. So I thought, this is great. There's a lot of information out there that says that people feel more humanized whenever they're able to see the person that is helping them each day. They feel, even the people who are working, the staff, the other medical professionals, are able to see each other, and they can see their faces, and it's a nice feeling to know that they are interacting with their other medical staff. So this is kind of a fun project. And what I did is I said, this seems really good, and I think that maybe this is something we should have all over the world. We should all be using this. This is great. And so I went to go to the Wikipedia page, and they didn't have a Wikipedia page, and so I wrote it. This was, I think it's only been around 4 or 5 weeks, maybe a month or so, that I wrote this Wikipedia page, and it was a joy, because I learned a lot about how to make the masks. I learned about the ins and out, the problems they had, how they started this in Liberia, the people behind it, and just a lot of really great information. And this is the Wikipedia page you're looking at right now, that you would see if you were to go to the Wikipedia page right now. And here's a bunch of citations down here at the bottom. I've put external links. I put so that people can go and figure out how to do it themselves. I mean, it's not as straightforward as you think, because, of course, they have to be very clean. And I guess there were some problems making them at first. And there's a lot of answers to how this works well. So anyway, this is the Wikipedia page for the PPE project. My idea is that what we would do is that people would find this Wikipedia page by somehow, and it's like a one-stop shop for understanding this PPE portrait project. And because the GSoW project, we're worldwide, it's very important to us to make sure that we're getting great content about science and scientists and pseudoscience out into the world, in places where people will be able to read it at, like a high school level, all those nice hyperlinks in there, so that they'll be able to go back and forth, and they can click on the hyperlinks and learn more about the topic they're looking at. And we want to make sure that these are written in languages that people are interested in reading. So the GSoW project does have people from all over the world and writing in their languages natively. These aren't Google translations or anything like that. So we turned around and we made this Wikipedia page in different languages. This you're looking at right now is Afrikaans. I have one editor who writes in Afrikaans, and he's already written a little over 100 pages in the last year. That's really great. This page right here you're looking at is German, I hope, because yeah, it looks like it's German. So this is the German Wikipedia page for a PPE project. And this one is Oh shoot, which one is this one? Italian. I think it's Italian. Is that Italian? I can't read it really well because I don't have my. It's kind of blurry for me. This is French, I believe. Yeah. So I know we've written Italian, French, German, and Afrikaans and English. So those are the pages we have written already, and in the for the PPE project. We have several more that are being worked on. I think we have Finnish, we have Spanish, Portuguese, Swiss, lots of languages. So our idea is that what we'll be able to do is something like this may interest people into maybe wanting to participate. One of my things I'd really like to see is maybe a children's group or a school group that would work with some kind of alliance with a hospital in their area and maybe get nice photographs of the scientists or the medical staff, and then the kids would be responsible for printing out all these stickers and getting them to the hospital and making sure that they have them. I mean, it's not only for like a COVID outbreak or anything, but I guess even for surgery or anything of that sort where the person is conscious and having to interact with somebody in full PPE. I think this could make their a terrible, horrible time of their life, maybe just that little bit better. So that's one of the things that we do with our Wikipedia project, the GSoW, is we train people how to write these really wonderful pages and to find pages that we want to write, maintain them, make sure that the pseudoscience is everything on it is correct and shouldn't be a problem with people being able to read it and understand it. So I'm going to tell you, here's a Google search again. Now, since this has only been out about a month, it's had a little bit of trouble getting up in the rankings as far as a search you were doing on Google. But it is coming up, at least in the search I did, it's coming up on the first page of Google. When you do a Google search, it's at the bottom, but it's coming up there. So we're hopefully over time, what will happen is the Wikipedia page will move to the top rankings of the Google search. And that way people will be able to find it. And then they'll be able to, if they want to click on other languages, of course, they'll be able to do that as well. So now I'm going to tell a second story. And this is going to have a little bit of, it will be bring a little bit of Richard Saunders and the Skeptic Zone in this one. And it's kind of fun. So grief vampires are kind of my thing. I really, everybody has their hot button topic, and people who claim to be able to speak to the dead are kind of my hot topic. People who are psychic detectives or say they are. I'm not so interested in necessarily the psychics that are performing at a Halloween festival or something like that, or reading tea leaves. I mean, I save my real. I save it up for these grief vampires. So this is a woman. Her name is Jeanette Wilson, and she is in New Zealand. And from what I understand, she's been around for a long time. She's a psychic medium who also is now a healer. And over there in New Zealand, I think she was on a TV show for a little bit of time. I didn't really know much about her. She's kind of like, she didn't really hit my radar much. But what happened is Jeanette has started really moving into the healing area, and the New Zealand skeptics were really getting interested in her, and they were going to her seminars and went back whatever I guess they're doing them now in New Zealand, possibly, but for a while there, we weren't able to go to anything. And so they would go, and they found out that this woman is doing all sorts of healing kinds of things. Like, I think what her deal is she channels dead doctors, and the dead doctor will tell you what is wrong with the patient. And then I think she does like some Reiki where she waves her hands over the person, and she's able to heal you. I think that's kind of partly her deal. So Jeanette's also quite anti-vax, anti-mammogram, anti-5G. She's got a lot of different things that she's pseudoscientific, okay? So the New Zealand skeptics did a lot of research on her, and they wrote up some articles about her, and that was great. And then Jeanette wanted to go to England to do a lecture tour, which would have been extremely anti-vax, because she does all these healings and she does all these things, and she videotapes herself and then she broadcasts them to show people. And so the New Zealand skeptics got a hold of Michael Marshall over in the UK and said, "So Jeanette Wilson's going to be coming over here on tour, and it's probably not going to be good for you guys." So Michael Marshall, what he did is he got a hold of a lot of the venues where she was going to be performing, and he went and notified them and said, this woman is going to be coming and she's going to be videotaping in your location. Do you really want to have your hotel or your building associated with this woman who's going to be talking about anti-vax and so on? And a bunch of venues canceled. And then Michael Marshall was able to take all that information and he gave it to the media, and the media started writing up articles about her. And so what ends up happening when you start getting a lot of citations like that is that she can have a Wikipedia article. But what happened next after that is that Richard Saunders started talking about her on the Skeptic Zone. And here's some articles that came out in the news. This is Echo. She can heal arthritis, apparently. And then here's Noted, which is talking about her getting into the wellness business. And this is October 2019. So when Richard started talking about Jeanette Wilson, and more importantly, what he was talking about is how the New Zealand skeptics were working with the UK skeptics, and what they were able to do was get her kind of shut down in really ruined her travel schedule in the UK and really made her very mad. What that did is because what Richard was doing is he was talking about the citations. He's saying, oh, and this newspaper, this media wrote up a story about her, and that just makes me go, oh, citations. Oh, that's cool. That means we can add those all to her Wikipedia page. Because we have to have reliable sources. We can't just write a Wikipedia page about somebody. So what happens is, since I'm a big listener of the Skeptic Zone, I heard about this, and I think he talked about it 2 or 3 times, and I said, all right, let's see what we could do. One of my editors in America, April Hoy, who lives in Iowa, in the middle of the country here. So this is kind of an international thing: New Zealand, UK, Australia, California, Iowa. It was kind of fun because we all kind of got together and we wrote this Wikipedia page for her. Now, we certainly don't want to write a Wikipedia page about somebody who is in the paranormal world until we know we have damn good citations that we can use to show that this woman or this person is definitely doing what they say. We don't want to have anything that looks like, promotional of the person. Sadly to say that, we want to make sure that the page is well written. There's no ad hominems on it. There's nothing of that sort. It's just straight up what the media says about her. And what you're looking at is an old version. Again, don't read it. You guys can read it later when you can go onto Wikipedia and read it when you can read it close up. But this Wikipedia page that we created, April Hoy created for her, you can see that there is a lead, and the lead is really important. The GSoW Project carefully writes these because we know that a lot of people come in to a Wikipedia page, read the lead, and then they're gone. So you got to get it. You got to get everything in that lead possible that you want to say. And in this case, in case you can't read it right now, it says she's a professional medium and spiritual healer who claims to heal people with the assistance of spirits. Wilson has also promoted anti-vaccination and anti-5G views. And then on the right, you'll see there's a little info box and it says paranormal. See the arrow? That's another hallmark of the GSoW project. Because again, we know that people are coming to the Wikipedia pages and just glancing at a lot of them and then leaving to go, do whatever else they're going to do. So we want to make sure that we've got the whole, um, just glancing at and leaving kind of thing taken care of, because we can't expect people to read the whole darn thing. So in this case, April was able to write the Wikipedia page for her with the citations that were existed from the Skeptic Zone, from the New Zealand Skeptics, and from the UK, from all those people over there. Now, what happened is that Jeanette found this Wikipedia page, and she was furious with a capital F. So what happens is that she made herself an account and she went into the talk page, which is this little area up here at the top that anybody can look at. It's a little tab. It's on every Wikipedia page. You may not have even noticed it, but it's where the editors talk to each other. And so Jeanette went in and she started deleting parts of her Wikipedia page. She tried to have the whole thing deleted. She was ranting and saying that she's not anti-vax. She's definitely pro-vaccine. I think one of her claims was that God vaccinates everybody. So she's definitely pro-vaccine because God is the one who's doing the vaccinations. And she's none of these things. And the UK skeptics lied, and Michael Marshall's an evil person, and on and on and on. So on the GSoW project, we're following all this because we can see all the conversations that are happening. We're watching the page, and we didn't get involved. We just sat back and just had a conversation about it on our secret cabal, in detail. All of us just kind of going, oh, and here she is back again. And general normal Wikipedia editors are trying to answer her questions and trying to calm her down and trying to explain to her she is not able to delete her Wikipedia page because it is not her Wikipedia page. She does not own it. This is not a website. She has no control over this, so she can't delete it. The editors who wrote it proved that she's notable enough to have a Wikipedia page, so therefore she has a Wikipedia page. She's a public figure, and that's just too bad, So they were trying to explain to her stuff and telling her she couldn't go in and delete entire sections, and they went into the citations and they said, well, this is what the media is saying about you, and so therefore that's what's coming on the page. And she says, well, they're lying. So I'm reading all this and I feel a little bad for her, just a little bit bad for her. But I said, we better check our work. So what I did is I wrote to the UK skeptics and I wrote to the New Zealand skeptics. And I said, can you guys double check? I want you to double check to make sure that when we say that she's anti-vax or anti-5G, or she's channeling some dead doctors to heal people, that is what is going on. Because I don't, I want to make sure that we've got great content on the Wikipedia page. And they wrote me back and they said, absolutely, it's all exactly there. So I still felt a little bit bad because I wanted to make sure that I felt like maybe we should check one more time. So the New Zealand skeptics approached me. One of the board members is also training to be a GSoW editor, and he said to me a few weeks ago, I'd really like to revisit the Jeanette Wilson story. He says she sends me emails all the time asking to come back in and get, attend another one of her webinars. And I said, well, we could do it. So we saw this, Connecting with Your Loved Ones in Spirit, and it's a 2-hour workshop for 10 participants. Now, we thought she was going to do readings because she used to read, cold read people or hot read people. We thought that's what she was going to do. That's what it looked like from here. So we prepared some fake Facebook pages. And if anybody out there doesn't know about the things I do with grief vampires, you can check out my website, susangerbic.org. I have an extensive collection of all the different stings we've put together. One with the New York Times Magazine. We've been extensive about what we do with grief vampires. So we put together some fake Facebook pages and we visited we signed up for her webinar. One of the New Zealand skeptics' his mum was going to be visiting, and so she fits the demographic of what would it be expected at one of Jeanette Wilson's webinars, and so she attended, and it was pretty funny. We had a blast. Unfortunately, it was about the same time as it is right now, so it was about 2 in the morning for me. But we went. It was great. We videotaped it. We videoed it, the whole thing. We recorded the whole thing, and we were in a Facebook group, and we were interacting with Jeanette, and we did a lot of meditation, which was really hard on me at 2 or 3 in the morning, not being able to. We're sitting there just watching somebody meditate for 15 minutes or something, and we did not contact any dead people. She just was trying to get us ready to be able to do our own contacting of dead people. So by the end, here she is. Oh, so by the end of the 2 hours, I was a little punchy, and she gets us into a Zoom room. That's cute, it rhymes. But and she starts asking us, so how did you do? What did you guys think? And blah blah blah. And I asked her, I said, hey, Jeanette, I was using a fake Facebook page, fake name and everything. I said, Jeanette, I'm over here in America, and we have over 100,000 people who have died from COVID, and we're really frightened. And I mean, we really are. And I was wondering, Jeanette, what do you see for us, and what do you see for us with a vaccine and that kind of thing? Whoa, man, I hit her because that was something else. She went on for 16 minutes. We recorded it all. 16 minutes of ranting about how COVID was just going to disappear. It was just going to go away like magic. And she was saying that they have a supplement that she could get for us, and she could have it sent over, and it would come in and you could take it, and it would coat your lungs, so it would keep you from being able to get COVID. She said that she had never liked Donald Trump, but now she thinks he's the most amazing man ever, the most brilliant man, because he's going to fix all this vaccine problems. And he's just this awesome human being. And I'm trying to keep in character, but I'm still challenging her a little bit in this Zoom conversation with these other 9 participants. And I'm nodding, and then I'm giving this look. I'm trying to be really like, use the mom kind of eyebrow thing, like, what? And she would start to wind down from her rant, and I'd be like, well, we're still pretty scared over here about that. I don't know about this. And she's like, oh, you're not going to need a vaccine. And I've been researching vaccines for 20 years. I'm an expert on vaccines. The woman was a bank manager, so she has no expertise in vaccines. Sorry. So anyway, ended the call. It was about 3:15 in the morning for me. The New Zealand skeptics that we were talking over Facebook Messenger this whole time, trying to keep me awake and just talking, it was great, and trying to saying, well, what should we do now? She's not reading any dead people, so how we're going to do this. I'm like, well, I'm not leaving this call until I know that I've heard that if she's anti-vax or not. I want to know. And so that's why I asked the question the way I did. Anyway, so we ended the call. We took the audio, the video, and we gave it to some New Zealand people in New Zealand who are reporters. And so this man, his name was Toby something, and he writes for the Spinoff, and he wrote this nice article about her. And he got to review the video. And the really funny thing about the video and the whole interaction he had with Jeanette Wilson is he interviewed me over Zoom, and he interviewed her, and she didn't know that there was a video out about any of this, and she was furious. At first he's like, well, there were some participants in your webinar on this day, and they said that you were talking about COVID and that you were making claims about COVID and anti-vax. And she's like, They misunderstood. There's no way I would do that. No way. And he's like, I watched the video. She's like, what video? So she found out about the video. And, but that's, it's too bad. So in this article, if you want to read it, which is on her Wikipedia page, you'll see where she was able to, he talks about how she makes this claim that we were wrong. And then he says, no, there was a video. And she's like, oh, well, what? So what happened is once the spinoff wrote this article, then we were able to go ahead and put expand on her Wikipedia page, because now we felt very confident that this woman is definitely anti-vax and anti-5G and so on. So we were able to expand the lead of this article, and I'll read it to you for those people who can't really read the small print. She's a professional medium and spiritual healer who claims to heal people with the assistance of spirits. She also promotes New World Order theories, anti-vaccination views, unproven supplements, anti-5G claims, and dangerous COVID-19 health advice. So anybody who's doing anything that has to do with pseudoscience in the COVID world, let me tell you, the media is going to jump on that like really quick. So if there's anything else in that area, let your media know, and they're usually going to go and do something about it because that's the topic right now. So the other thing we're able to put into this article is we added a larger info box, and I think this is pretty funny. One of the things she's known for is unsubstantiated health advice and conspiratorialist. We were able to put that into the info box. And we had that paranormal tab in there, and then we were able to add an additional little area, as you can see at the bottom, alternative and pseudo medicine tab. So again, somebody coming in wanting to know who Jeanette Wilson is, or a media want to know who Jeanette Wilson is, or if somebody is if she's trying to put together another tour, they can find out who Jeanette Wilson is. Or if she's trying to get a TV show and somebody's interested, now they know who Jeanette Wilson is. And they can know in a flash that this woman is anti-5G and conspiracy. She believes in the New World Order. I think there's like 300 people control the world, and on and on. So we were able to add this to our Wikipedia page. And here's some more information down here on dietary supplements, her anti-science conspiratorial claims. It's all cited correctly. Again, no ad hominems, nothing that anybody could react against. I don't think she's found this page again. I think she's kind of, I don't know what the heck she's doing with it right now, but she wasn't really happy about it. So one other thing before I go that happened. So Kenny Biddle over in America is a ex-ghost hunter, and he's an expert on photography. So one of the things that happened during the webinar, the Facebook webinar that I was in, is that she had about a 9-minute rant about ghost orbs, and she was showing pictures of some of the most basic ghost photography that I don't even know if like a 10-year-old would have fallen for it. It is very basic. And the people in this room with me and in this webinar, most of them are not skeptics. They were buying all of it, nodding their heads. She was talking about how her children are clear. She showed a picture of her children, her 2 adorable children. Look how clear they are because they're not vaccinated, is what she said. It was horrendous. And she zooms in onto this one part of the the picture, and it's got these 2 little orbs, dust particles there. And she's saying that that's her grandparents or something. These are all taken with film and they're old style, So anyway, so I sent the video over to Kenny Biddle, and I said, would you please write an article about this for Skeptical Inquirer so that we can turn around and use the article for her Wikipedia page? And he did. He went into great depth. It's a fabulous article, and it has pictures of her orbs and her unvaxxed clear children and pure children. And so we were able to turn around and add this article to our Wikipedia page to expand it even further. At the moment, I think we're done with Jeanette Wilson as far as any other stings. She'll be happy to know, unless, of course, she comes. She tries to stir up the pot a little bit more. But I can't imagine what else we'd be able to put on her Wikipedia page that would be anything. If somebody goes to her Wikipedia page now and gets any information off of it and still wants to work with her or do a TV show with her or tour with her or whatever, I don't think we could do anything else. But now here's a Google search I used for her. And I cleared my cache. I used an incognito window so that I get the purest Google search possible. So I put Jeanette Wilson up there in the search bar, and you can see the first thing that came up, at least on my search, is the Wikipedia page. And then you see on the Google Knowledge panel that's over on the right-hand side, it says Jeanette Wilson is a professional medium, spiritual healer who claims to heal people with the assistance of spirits. Wilson also promotes New World Order theories, anti-vaccination views, unproven supplements, anti-5G claims, and dangerous COVID-19 health advice. And it says Wikipedia. And that, if you guys remember, is exactly the same lead that we have on her Wikipedia article. And so anybody who does a Google search for Jeanette Wilson should receive the same information that you see here. So you can see why it is extremely important that Wikipedia be accurate, and Wikipedia pages exist for people who are of the world of the paranormal, as well as existing for the people of science that we want to support and respect. So I'm going to end here in a moment. These are not actual GSoW editors, but we are a Wikipedia editing team that we do all our training. It takes about 2 months to train to be a Wikipedia editor with our team. It is done all over the internet. Outside of the United States, our biggest team is in Australia, and we do a lot of work that involves things from the world of Australia. And we have, if you'd like to join our Wikipedia team, a lot of it is done over Facebook. So we do have people on our team who have nothing to do with Facebook other than the GSoW project. We put you into the secret cabal. You don't have to interact on Facebook anywhere else, but I do use Messenger a lot. If it's something you'd like to join, friend me on Facebook, send me a private message. I'm going to want your email, and I'm going to want your Wikipedia username. So you'll have to open up an account if you don't already have one. I can train anybody that has, is open to constructive criticism and it follows through. I don't want anybody who flakes on me all the time. I want people who are good at self-motivating themselves. I really don't want to chase anybody around. But you can send me a private message, and I'll be happy to send you a pre-training lesson. And what that means is you'll have to do about 2 hours of lessons. At the end of this, you will have found out what it's like to be one of our editors. You'll have a taste of what the training's like, and then what you'll be able to do is tell me if this is something you want to continue with, or if you're just like, no, I just couldn't get through the training, it just wasn't for me, and that's fine. The training takes 2 months or so. As I said, we ask that you get it done within 4 months. So here's our numbers. Everybody likes numbers. I hope so. Skeptics like numbers. So we've been writing Wikipedia pages for a long time. We are active in making edits to Wikipedia pages constantly. But we can claim that we have written 1,436 pages that are completely written by us or completely rewritten by us. We took a really badly written stub and we were able to improve it enough, more than 50% of it, to a point where we can say this is our work. So we're able to track all those pages. The last page we just added today was cryptozoology in Afrikaans. We just published it in the Afrikaans language. I think that was really fun. So we keep track of just the 1,436 Wikipedia pages that we can kind of claim. And we can see how many times those pages have been viewed. We don't know if a person is going in multiple times, if it's a unique user. We don't know if they're just going in, reading the lead and leaving, or if they're reading it in depth. All we know is how many times people have been accessing these Wikipedia pages. And I just checked before I got here to do the talk with you guys today. We're at 64,945,150 page views. So if you guys want to go check on Jeanette Wilson's page a few times, I'd appreciate it so we can hit 65 million tomorrow. We're getting a little over 300,000 page views a week, which is incredible. And it goes through spurts, depending on what's popular right now. Sometimes we've written Wikipedia pages, subjects that are on Netflix and things, so they get a massive amount of views. I'll mention that we've written 55 pages concerning Australia, and those 55 pages have 565,000 views. The Australian Skeptics Wikipedia page, if you have read it and enjoyed it, it was written by Michelle Franklin up there in Humpty Doo near Darwin in Australia. She wrote it in 2014. Well, I should say she rewrote it, and we relied a lot on Richard here and others to steer us straight to make sure we got the Wikipedia page right. If you were to view it, you would be one of 53,000 people who have already read it or accessed it since 2014. So we're quite proud of the work we do. We spend a lot of time on things like vaccinations and all kinds of things. And I just did an interview with Paul Offit, Dr. Paul Offit from the world of vaccinations. And I interviewed him on Monday for my channel, which is called About Time Presents. And he said that everybody should join the Wikipedia editing project. He says, because you are saving lives with every page you make live. So if you'd like to check us out, we are at abouttimeproject.org. We also have a Facebook page. It's called About Time Project. And we do a lot of things under the About Time logo. So our Guerrilla Skeptics, which is the vampire stuff, the grief vampire stuff, we've been working with a facilitated communication, trying to take that out of the universities. About Time is just the larger nonprofit, and then all the other things are kind of underneath that, and we are able to raise funds and things like that so we can send people away to conferences for scholarships and so on. And I think that is all I have. Oh, did you guys see my drop bear? I love my drop bear shirt. Okay. Ta-da! It's weird to do a talk with I can't see anybody in the audience and I can't hear anything. I feel like I'm just talking to myself, rehearsing.
Well, you were talking to lots of people all over the world, of course, and really enjoyable. We had lots of questions coming in during the time
Should I stop sharing my screen here, or what should I do?
Doesn't matter. No, just leave it alone. It's fine. Some questions for you, Susan.
Okay.
And they're all by somebody called Anonymous. So we'll try to find out who that is.
Was it that woman who was ranting to me earlier today? No.
It could have been. So question number one, with so much out there needing to be fixed, how do you determine what are the priorities for updating Wikipedia?
That's a good question. I haven't had that before. There's a lot of Wikipedia projects on Wikipedia. They're called wiki projects, and they spend an enormous amount of time sorting and deciding what to work on. And you can see these things, these groups that have these very detailed rating systems of what to work on first, and then they're all abandoned. Nobody works on these projects. It's just perfectly listed, beautiful, sorted with rankings of A, B, C, D, what order to do them in. So when I formed the GSoW project, I said, we're not doing that because, it's like somebody just spends all their time getting it organized and then nobody's doing the work, so how do we pick? My editors pick. They decide. And like I said, I was just watching TV the other day and saw the PPE project, and I said, that That's great. One of my other editors in Montreal was listening to Cara Santa Maria's Talk Nerdy to Me podcast. And she had a really great interview with somebody there who's just written a book. And so he said, I love it. And he went and wrote the Wikipedia page for her book.
Oh, wow.
And that came out like 2 days ago or something like that. And the name of the book is like 15 words long. So I can't remember what it is. So we pick things that inspire us. We pick things like when we listen to the Skeptic Zone, we see something that makes us interested and we do that. I don't like to tell people what to do. Everybody has their own expertise. Some people are really into astronomy and they write about astronomy. Some people like biographies, but we sometimes will have something that is kind of needed and we'll say, "Hey, who's got time to work on this?"
That's
So
interesting.
there isn't a list, even though I do keep a list of pages that are badly written that would fall in the science or the scientific skepticism area. And when people are in training, they have to rewrite one of these pages. So they pick off the list, and there's about 50 or more choices. So people would pick something hopefully that interests them. But after that, we can suggest, but I
Yeah.
don't tell anybody what to do, and there is no list that is has to be done. People decide
Okay.
on their own.
The
But that's
next
a great question.
question,
I haven't had that before.
that is a good question. The next question is, who came up with the name Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia?
That's Mark Edward. So Mark Edward and I had been affiliated with different groups in America that were trying to do something, and we were getting really frustrated by them because it was very bureaucratic and leadership kind of had to approve everything and it was really annoying. And Mark Edward is the type of person that says, let's just do it. Let's just do it. You know, he's kind of a man from the 60s, he says. And so we got in the streets and we fought Vietnam and we did this and we did that. So he came up with the idea of he called things guerrilla. You know, we need to have guerrilla tactics and stuff. So,
Okay.
so the way I would explain it is I didn't have this wasn't supposed to be a thing. It was just supposed to be everybody go at it Wikipedia. I wasn't supposed to be running any organization. There was no logo. There was going to be no nonprofit. So when somebody asked me to do a talk at the amazing meeting, they said, "What's it called?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know. Guerrilla Skepticism and Wikipedia." And that's where it came from. Not something thought
Wow.
out.
Not something thought out. Okay. Another question here is, what kind of blogs can be cited on Wikipedia?
Blogs, none. I mean, I guess you could, if somebody had a really well written um, Wikipedia page already, and it was well written, and we wanted to like mention what high school the person went to, and then maybe that person wrote a blog and said what high school they went to. We could possibly use that, but you can't really use blogs. It has to be reliable sources. And reliable sources have to have journalistic integrity. They have to have editorial oversight. Um, we could use science-based medicine. That's not exactly a blog, though, but no, we can't use blogs.
Oh, there
Sorry.
you are. So, no, that's fair enough. A couple more questions here. Let me see. How many editors for Wiki are there in Australia? Do you know?
How many people are on the Australian team?
Yeah.
Well, we don't really have a team. I just like to say it that way. I think we're at 13 people, something like that, which is a really huge chunk of people for a you know, bigger than in England and Europe actually. So it's America and then it's Australia. The last time I looked, I think there was 11 to 13 people. I can't quite remember. We get them that join all the time. I know there's two in Perth because one person
Uh-huh.
needed to go take a picture of something. She says, I just wrote this Wikipedia page for something and I need a picture of it. So who's in Perth that can go and take a picture of this building? And so I looked and I had two Perth editors.
All right. So, one more question, I think now, and I think you sort of answered this, But just to go over it quickly again, what happens if a psychic comes along and tries to fix their page? I mean, if they change a page, it doesn't say change for long, does it?
Yeah. It anybody who tries to edit Wikipedia, there's a lot of bots, B-O-T, bots, and anything that looks like vandalism, if you try to put a swear word in there or there's certain patterns, these bots come in and they revert the edits usually within seconds. So most editing, especially for vandalism, is done by these bots. So if it isn't caught by a bot and if somebody was to come in and try to change a psychic's page, we watch pages, and editors on Wikipedia have you can put a watch on a page so that anytime it changes, you get an alert, and it could be a couple minutes, it could be a few days if it's a page that we don't really have much to do with, and
Hmm.
they really can't. There's I don't know what you would how they would do it. They would come in and they could try to say nice things about themselves or something, or just
Yeah.
delete it. It would just be reverted back, and then you got the Streisand effect because everybody's looking at it going, "What are you trying to hide? Oh, really? Hey, I don't like the way this looks. Let's rebuild this page from scratch and fix it." And so it's kind of not a
Yeah.
good thing to raise it to anybody's attention because it's only going to get more interest in it.
And just before we wrap it up, you might like to comment on that if there's news about a celebrity or a skeptic or a scientist or whatever it is, it doesn't necessarily instantly appear on their wiki page, does it? Sometimes these things do take time.
How do you mean?
Well, if there's something that's been reported about somebody famous and who has a wiki page, it doesn't instantly mean that has to be on their wiki page before it's properly vetted.
No, yeah, it's going to take somebody to say, "Oh, look, this is really a good information. This is a good source. Let's put this on somebody's Wikipedia page and put it out." We do a lot of editing with like a magazine. Of course, I don't have one handy. Oh, yeah, I do. We do a lot of this kind of stuff where we take a magazine that is has journalistic integrity, it has oversight, it has an editor, and we can find articles in here, and we'll say, "Oh, this is really interesting. Look, so and so got an award," and then we'll go to the Wikipedia page and we can cite it and put the award on it, or maybe somebody has a new book out, and we can say, "Oh, look, so and so's got a new book out." So it's going to take somebody to say, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm interested in that. Let's put it on there." So it could take years if or months for it to get onto a Wikipedia page. It depends on how popular the person is or how interested. I mean, somebody who's in the media all the time, oh yeah, it's going to have edits all over it.
All right. Well, listen, Susan, what a great talk. And thank you again for at very short notice agreeing to stay up all night for us. I mean, where you are now, it's coming up to, my goodness me, it's coming up to nearly
3.
3 a.m.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
you
I'm
don't have to
all
go
right.
to bed. You can just stay up now. I mean,
Anytime I
it's,
get a chance to talk to the Australian skeptics, you guys kick ass, and I really appreciate all the work and all the support I get from the Australian skeptics and the Skeptic Zone. You guys really have done a lot. The Skeptic Zone has given us some of the most editors. That's probably why we have so many Australian editors, is because I'm on the Skeptic Zone and you support us with our promotions and all those other great things, and I've been on tour of Australia twice now. I love Australia and New Zealand, and it's been great. And so what happens is people tend to come from that area, and so they're more going to focus on that area. So if we had people, you know, if we had a lot of people who came from India, we would probably see a huge uptick in the amount of work that's being done for scientists in India or wherever that is. So you know, we need editors, and you don't have to speak another language. It's great if you just only speak English. We have plenty of work for you to do.
well, Susan Gerbic, all the way over there in Salinas, California, thank you once again. And folks, thank you for joining us here at Sydney Skeptics in the Pub. We do look forward to the day, whenever that may be, of having a pub back again to go to have a drink and meet everybody. But until then this is probably the next best thing. I'd like to thank behind the scenes Trish Han and especially Lara Benham, who do a lot of hard work to put all this together, to connect that wire and that microphone and make it all happen. Much appreciated. And without you, this simply wouldn't go on. And folks, please join us here next month on the first Thursday of the month, 7 p.m. Sydney time, for the next Skeptics in the Pub from Sydney. And you can find out more details if you go to our meetup page. If you go to meetup.com and look for Ost Skeptics, you should be able to find out more. But for now, from Australia and Salinas, California, thank you and good evening.